I'm Christine Persichetti with this current news update. With tens of thousands of migrants settling into New York City, Diocese of Brooklyn schools are helping new students and their families with tuition, uniforms, and faith formation. But they're also working to make sure these migrant children are thriving inside the classroom. Current News' Jessica Easthope shows us how one school is taking an innovative approach.
When you're finished with the mid-chapter review, you can go on Google Classroom.
The instructions are loud and clear. But Dulce Maria doesn't understand. Unlike her fellow fifth grade classmates, in English, she reads at a kindergarten level.
We glue Mary onto Joseph.
That's why Christine Latona and the teachers at Our Lady of Grace Catholic Academy in Gravesend, even those who don't have Dulce Maria in class, are rallying around her, making sure she gets all the benefits of a Catholic education.
It's giving her the confidence that she'll need for later on in life to know, look at what I was able to accomplish and look at what I was able to learn by coming to a Catholic school. These are phonological awareness assignments.
This is iReady, a program Our Lady of Grace uses to determine students' needs, track their progress, and personalize their learning.
And then we can just keep on moving her along as quickly as we need to.
For Dulce Maria, the school is using it in 2 languages. I'm trying my best because I know they're trying to help me, so I try to pay attention, especially to any feedback they give me. Dulce's been at Our Lady of Grace since she arrived in New York 2 months ago. She came with her father from Colombia. They crossed the southern border on foot. In Colombia, there are a lot of robberies, and it gave people in the city a feeling of insecurity. It's not safe. Stephanie Campanella is the school's DeSales Technology Institute coach. She set Dulce Maria up on Duolingo so she can learn English at her own pace.
We want to have our doors open to anyone possible to walk in and have a great Catholic education, to learn and thrive in whatever environment they're in.
With support from her teachers, her new friends, and Our Lady of Grace's technology, not just progress, but success is possible for Dulce Maria. It might take time, but for now, it clicks. In Gravesend, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
The migrant crisis doesn't seem to be slowing down in New York City. In fact, Mayor Eric Adams has plans to open 2 more big emergency shelters. Let's take a closer look at the numbers right now. According to City Hall, over 51,000 migrants have arrived in the last year. Of those, over 31,000 are being cared for locally in more than 100 shelters across the 5 boroughs. Despite calls for federal aid, President Biden has still not jumped in to help. The Diocese of Brooklyn removed a priest ministering in East Flatbush Sunday. Father Boni Monaster, the parochial vicar for St. Therese of Lisieux Church, was removed after a sexual abuse allegation involving an adult was substantiated. Bishop Robert Brennan announced the decision via a letter that was read to parishioners this weekend. The diocese was first made aware of the allegation last September, and Father Monaster denied it. The matter was then referred to the Diocesan Review Board, an independent panel tasked with investigating abuse allegations. Following an investigation, the board recommended Father Monaster, who has served at St. Therese since 2020, be removed. The Diocese of Brooklyn states it has a zero-tolerance policy on abuse and has protocols in place to combat it. Victims are always encouraged to report allegations by calling a confidential reporting line that connects to law enforcement. That number is 888-634-4499. Again, that number, 888-634-4499. Now to some developing news. The NYPD and Secret Service are preparing for protests, unloading barricades outside the Manhattan Criminal Court after former President Donald Trump told supporters to fight against his possible indictment and arrest on Tuesday. It stems over hush money he allegedly paid to Stormy Daniels back in 2016. Trump urged followers to, quote, take our nation back, and the NYPD reassured people that all available resources will be used. Former Vice President Mike Pence spoke on the matter and came to Trump's defense.
The idea of indicting a former president of the United States is deeply troubling to me, as it is to tens of millions of Americans, and particularly happening in what appears to be a politically charged environment in New York.
He also added that we can't see the type of violence that took place January 6th or in the summer of 2020. Over to Ohio, where people are still facing that never-ending nightmare after the toxic train derailment disaster in East Palestine. It will take another 3 months to clean up the crash site, according to the EPA. Nearly 7 million gallons of liquid waste and 5,400 tons of solid waste have been removed from the area already. Meanwhile, people who live in East Palestine are trying to get on with their lives. But even after the EPA says the site is all cleaned up, this tragedy may not be over for them. One lawyer who's been helping victims of 9/11 says the health of East Palestine residents is at risk. Michael Barish from Barish and McGarry joins us now. Hi, Michael. Thanks for being here.
Christine, always a pleasure.
So the EPA says the air and water in East Palestine is safe. Some politicians even drank the water in people's homes on camera. So do you believe the residents are safe? You know, the EPA said the same thing after 9/11, right?
Oh my God. When I heard those words from the EPA, I got shivers down my spine. That's exactly what Christine Todd Whitman said 5 days after 9/11 to assure the residents of Lower Manhattan, the people on Wall Street, the downtown students that it was safe to return to school, to their offices, to work. It wasn't safe. We now know that 69 cancers have been linked to the World Trade Center toxins. I represent 10,000 of my 35,000 clients from Lower Manhattan have been diagnosed with 9/11 related cancers. So the people of East Palestine, they should be very afraid and be very skeptical of what the EPA is saying.
And you always say 9/11 didn't end on 9/11, and people in East Palestine are already complaining of rashes, sore throats, nausea, and headaches. In your experience working with 9/11 victims, do you think East Palestine residents could have worse health concerns in the months and years to come?
For sure. I mean, we know from the autopsy of Jimmy Zadroga, he was one of my clients, a New York City detective. When they did his autopsy, he died at age 34 of pulmonary fibrosis. It started with a cough. It started with a sore throat and irritation. Well, when they did his autopsy, they found, well, ground glass. You won't find that in anybody's lungs in East Palestine. But they found all these dioxins, benzene, chromium, lead. And I suspect that the people of East Palestine were exposed to very similar carcinogens. And that's why I'm urging them, get regular checkups.
All right, some good advice for them. Michael Barish, managing partner of Barish and McGarry, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having us and covering the story.
And finally, the City of Angels is keeping the legacy of Auxiliary Bishop David O'Connell alive thanks to a new chapel. Now open to the public, it's located at the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels in the heart of Los Angeles. The chapel features photos, handwritten notes, his Bible, a rosary, and a book of jokes. The Archdiocese hopes it will inspire and set an example for people throughout the city. Police still do not know why the bishop was murdered last month. And that is this Currents News Update. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news.